Michigan in our Battle Creek City Commission meeting for August 13th, 2024. It is 7 p.m. I know that Commissioner Patrick O'Donnell's running a little behind, and then Commissioner Lance may not be able to make our meeting this evening. We're going to stand and have a moment of silence for our invocation, and then we'll have a pledge of allegiance, and I'd like to call upon Commissioner Morris to lead us in the pledge. Would you please stand if you're able to for a moment of silence? Commissioner Morris?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Morris. Next item on our agenda is a roll call. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Commissioner Ballard.
Present.
Commissioner Lance. Commissioner Morris. Here. Commissioner O'Donnell. Mayor Banky.
Here.
Commissioner Reynolds.
Present.
Commissioner Simmons.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Present.
And Vice Mayor Sophia. Here. Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is the proclamation and awards, and I'd like to call those individuals from New Level Sports that are here, and I also want to call upon my classmate from St. Philip Catholic Central High School, going back to 1976, Gina Reed. Gina and I graduated together, along with 76 other students. So, would you please come forward? We're going to talk a little bit about New Level Sports and everything else. Thanks.
It's busy down there.
You guys can join me right up here.
It's okay.
Line up. Gina, can you be the official spokesperson and tell us a little about the event on Saturday?
This is going to be our first annual Next Level Festival, which is based on the 5 pillars of our youth village, which are sports, arts, personal growth, which is very important, education, and industry. We have a few more of our youth ambassadors.
That's great.
With that, we have a 2-day festival, and actually I'd like to turn it over to our youth ambassadors because this is for the youth. They've been to all our planning meetings. It's all about the youth and our future.
Hello, I'm Malia Rogers Fleming, and I'm one of the youth ambassadors. And honestly, I loved helping out with the meetings, being able to articulate and start planning. At first, I was like, "Oh, I'm not a very arts and craft person, not very artistic." But I was able to really learn and grow and connect with other youth and be able to plan this for us. So I'm very excited about that.
Hi, I'm Tyre Davis, one of the other youth ambassadors. Being part, I thank Pastor Chris and Marcus Austin for the opportunity that has been being given to us to help with the youth festival. Our elders are very wise, but no one knows the youth like the youth. So, so merging both of those together with our elders' wisdom and guidance to help reach more kids and more of our youth to hopefully, change their lives. It has been a great experience.
Nice.
We have Vice Mayor Bill Board's great-grandson here.
Wow.
And I believe, aren't you Mr. Board's great-grandson? No?
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry. He looks alike.
Oh, no.
But anyway, he invited me to his graduation party this year, and it was at New Community Baptist Church up on Saratoga. So it was a nice event. I want to thank each and every one of you. Commissioner Morris is going to read, if not all, a portion of the proclamation, and then on Saturday I'll be there because Gina Reed said she will not give me a call and tell me about things going on at New Level unless I show up at 2 o'clock? 3 o'clock on Saturday, so I look forward to being there.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas New Level Sports Ministries is a nonprofit youth support service which is committed to developing purpose-driven individuals, and whereas since their onset in 2001, New Level Sports Ministries has served over 10,000 urban youth and their families with efforts to inspire, encourage, and direct many young people toward achieving their dreams and aspirations. And whereas NLSM believes every young person, despite his or her background, can develop and achieve their goals and dreams. New Level Sports Ministries defines that success by 5 foundational pillars of education, personal growth, arts, industry, and sports. And whereas the mission statement of New Level Sports Ministries is to maximize and balance the intellectual, spiritual, mental, and physical elements of all participating youth. And whereas New Level Sports Ministries has organized their first annual Next Level Festival, which is set to be a groundbreaking event aimed at engaging and changing the hearts of youth through various activities beyond traditional church settings. This 2-day festival is designed to attract the interest of young people throughout the area by offering a diverse range of events. Each activity is aligned with one of their foundational pillars, created to help youth grow in specific areas. Now, therefore, I, Janasia Morris, on behalf of Mayor Mark Banke, do hereby proclaim August 16th and 17th, 2024, as the first annual New Level Sports Ministries Next Level Festival.
On Friday, we will be having a personal growth piece with Portia Love and Stephen Malcolm, and they will be talking about, really developing as Christian rap artists and getting into the feelings of growing up in church, and as youth, developing and getting to that next level, connecting and being able to walk in God's steps, So being able to really connect and grow with youth our age is another big piece to it.
All right, and on Saturday, we're having a 5K walk and run. We're also having a concert with Portia Love and Stephen Malcolm. We will be having a flag football tournament and a kite flight where you can bring your own kites or build some with materials that we'll provide. Of course, there'll be food and music and, all the good stuff for, kids. It's going to be great. You guys should come. You should bring your kids.
I want to thank everyone for offering and providing the information that we need for this special event. I know I saw the pastor come in. We want to thank him for being here. We want to thank all the information that you have shared with us, and we look forward to a great community event on Saturday. Thank you very much.
Wait a minute.
Next item on our agenda is the presentation by the Transportation Authority from the county, and I'm going to call upon Rebecca just to perhaps give a little intro.
Sure. Thanks, Mayor. I appreciate that. I just get to have the privilege of introducing Eric Stewart. He is the current chair of the Transportation Authority of Calhoun County, and he is here to present Ride Calhoun and next steps for the TAC. Eric, welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for your service. This retirement thing hits me hard. You and I, our families have been together for a very long time, and I appreciate the work that you've done in this community, and it's an honor to serve in this capacity because you contacted me to do this. So, thank you. As I said, I'm honored to represent the Transportation Authority of Calhoun County as the board chair, and also introduce, it's exciting, our new branded material called Ride Calhoun. So we need something that's catchy, something that's different, and something that represents the entire region as we develop. So I'll take us through pretty quickly the introduction and what have you, where we're going, who we are, and what we're called to do, okay? But I brought some friends with me. My entire board showed up this evening, and I'd like to recognize them if we can advance the slide. But before I get to the board, let's go back. One of the most important parts is our mission, okay? And you're going to see that throughout this presentation. We sat for a very long time and chose these words carefully. Improving lives in Calhoun County, one ride at a time, with equal access to transportation for all.
All right.
Those words are intentional, and that'll be the basis of everything that we achieve to do, every decision we make, and the direction we're going. Anything outside of that is not supportive of the residents of this region. So we'll stick with that notion, and equal access to transportation for all is where we're going. But the people who make it happen, amongst myself, and if we can have my friends stand up. Tom is representative from Marshall, Tarkowitz, former city manager. Vivian Davis from Albion. Linda Morrison is our board treasurer. I'm sorry, Tom, I didn't mean to disrespect you. You're the vice chair. And Amy Evans from Springfield. I didn't see Amy. Yep. Commissioner Morris, thank you very much for your service. And Dr. Paul Watson represents the county from KCC. So like I said, I'll move through the presentation very quickly. How did we get here? So I'll just give a quick recap of who we were and where we're going. If you know, the current system under Battle Creek City Transit works as well as it can, but we have some barriers. It's publicly funded. You recognize the things on the left are the Battle Creek City Transit, Marshall Dial-A-Ride, other agencies that participate in publicly funded transportation providers. We also have privately transportation providers, such as Battle Buddy, Mobile One, and what have you. Kingdom Builders participates in that, which creates a fragmented type system. Anytime you have a system that's fragmented, there's inefficiencies, it's costly, and things of that nature, and it's hard to build a sustainable system that has continuous improvement associated with it. We have a great team in place right now, and we look to expand that team in the future, but at the end of the day, we have to take care of this fragmentation and coordination within our community. Other public service providers are aimed at other folks, such as seniors, disabled folks, residents, and what have you, but they're funded through local grants, senior millage, sometimes philanthropy, and things of that nature. That's part of what we need to homogenize as we go forward to create a more efficient system that's equitable across this county. We know we did a transit study. I don't have to, you can scan it here and take a look at that, but some key items we learned from the transit study are the precursor to the strategy that we've developed going forward, and you'll hear about that as we go. But we did use some of that data, but at the end of the day, what it tells us is countywide transit service in Calhoun County needs to be expanded to expand the lives and opportunities of folks. We're talking about housing, economic development, things of that nature, education. All of that plays into where we need to go in having this homogenized system. Basically, the findings, the bold words that we have here are, it pointed out we have vulnerable populations. We don't have regular access across these communities that we're talking about. And remember, we're talking about Albion, Marshall, Springfield, Battle Creek are the participants here, okay? I know that the townships and things of that nature, I'm looking to be inclusive in a strategic way of corporations and folks that opted out and things of that nature. You may have a chance to participate. That could be a thing going forward, but we're going to tackle the strategy first. But the egregious part is more than 20,000 estimated unmet trips per year happen. I'll pause. There are human beings associated with each one of those trips. Somebody can't get from A to B. Someone can't get groceries. Someone can't get to work. Someone can't take their child to daycare. In any other humanitarian event, if you had 20,000 people affected, that would be a problem. This has been ignored long enough. the Transportation Authority's goal is to provide that equality for our region as we grow economically. Remember last time I was here, when I spoke, I'm also the board chair of BCU. We had a great presentation. You can't have that type of economic development spurring in this community without a mobility system that's robust and meets the needs of the entire region. So let's just keep that in mind. We did the pilot project, and we learned that as good as BC Go is, it met less than 25% of demand. We have to fix that capacity and make that county-wide and make sure we have a sustainable product there. Real good notion, microtransit, things of that nature. We're going to make that a reality. What's the future of Calhoun County transportation? Remember, we're talking about improving lives with equal access to transportation for all. These are the regions that we're talking about that are participating. Battle Creek, Springfield, the City of Marshall, and Albion. And our new branding in terms of the different types of vehicles that you will see in these regions. I'm proud to announce that we've branded the types of products. So our fixed route system, which would be primarily a large bus, will be called RC Max. The paratransit, maybe the smaller bus that you see, van type piece, would be called RC Move. And then our on-demand service, which you would look at as BC Go and things of that nature, would be RC Flex. So as you get excited about being mobile to go work, play, live, and what have you in another community, you know what branded material you may need for where you're going and how to get there. Okay, what's worth noting is, we did a lot of studies and what have you, and we looked at a lot of research, but some common things are there's a trickle-down effect, and housing values typically can increase 4 to 24%. And this one is a nuance to me. For every dollar spent in transit, it brings $5 into the community. That's a participating factor in economic development that we're seeing going forward. So I hope we can benefit from that, but we have to have the right product, the right efficiencies, and the right collaborations. Transit's linked to education. I won't get into this piece, but Dr. Watson is not only on this board representing higher education, but he reminds us that it's important for not only higher education students, but our K through 12 students to be able to experience different things in different communities, and this mobility is a part of that, so we don't want to forget them. How we move, we talked about the different types, but in those types, we're headed towards equitable access, quality-oriented service for both the rider and the driver. We need to be able to put people behind the wheel and create a work-life balance so we can employ folks and they can create that quality system within that vehicle for our ridership. Technology-enabled mobility. Some of the stuff that I've seen from our current staff is just, it's going to be a great enhancement once we move forward and what have you to the community. And then regional connectivity. Coordinate all of those public and private entities and things of that nature into a system that could be more efficient and what have you. These things are the things that are on the tax radar. I won't go into this, but this is a really good narrative of how we've analyzed what we have now and what we have in the future. And on the right, commissioners, you'll see the expanded service and what have you based on the current financials we're about to see next. So you can see what was kind of, I want to say a deficit, but I want to give respect to the current BCT team of doing what they could with what they had, but our expansion would allow this across the entire county and not just fragmented. But what makes us different? This statement here, I guess I said at one point, the TAC has the ability to leverage the right amount of resources to support a transit system that meets the needs of the community. That's what's different in the authority. The bullet points on the left, efficiency and based on a targeted budget, mobility is all we do. So I don't have to worry about these other things that challenge each one of these communities. Improved rider experience, we talked about that, improved driver experience, and the opportunity for advanced systems with focus on community. That, in a nutshell, is continuous improvement. So with any project or any type of system, we want to see continuous improvement baked into that that's affordable and recognizable by the community. I want to invite my colleague, the treasurer, up to explain the financials.
Which, a familiar face to many of you. It's been a little while since I've got the opportunity to come up here and talk numbers with you, so thank you very much for the opportunity, but I am the treasurer for the TAC, and I'm very proud that we have all 7 of our members here. But as you can see on this slide, this is a 5-year projection and a financial plan for the TAC, for Ride Calhoun. These numbers are based on what we know right now and what plans of service we're planning for the future. This includes taxable values as we know them right now in all the participating cities, levels of service that we've evaluated and in the 4 cities, and that Eric has talked about, as well as revenue and cost estimates. We've been very conservative. All of you who have heard me over and over again, conservative is kind of how we roll. High on the expenditure side, low on the revenue side, to be on the safe side. And rolling out to 2028, the farthest right column, you can see system expenses of about $12 million, revenues of a little more than $7 million, leaving a gap of $5.2 million, needing to be funded through a millage that will show up on the ballot in November. And that, based on the taxable values as we see them today, for all the participating communities, leaves a millage request of 2.66. That would be the maximum to be levied. So I'm going to give it back to Eric to wrap things up. But thank you for your time.
Good to see you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda. I think out of what Linda just said, the real key point there is that's a not to exceed amount. We as a board are looking to incorporate corporate non-participating folks currently and other strategies to try and reduce that amount. But we want a quality product. So we're going to say this is where we are, and we believe that that's an equitable position to be in to get all of these things done, because we're staring down the barrel of this economic development boom, and we need that to be a part of that. So more to come on those pieces as we educate the community and move forward with that. Next steps, we want to continue to build TAC resources. We have a great functioning LAC, which Chuck Archer is a part of that. He was part of Battle Creeks. He's taken on the task of being the chair of the region. Those folks are aggressive, robust, and keep this body pointed in the right direction and evaluate what we do. We also want to consider expanded mobility relationships. It's all these partnerships and things of that nature I just talked about. Not just the mobility folks, but the businesses that are impacted too. Some of those businesses are sitting in townships and things of that nature. Some of the people in townships want to get to work and things of that nature. So we have to work on how do we solve that issue, okay? I'm aware of the vote, but I'm aware of the future too, and that's what I'm focused on. Lastly, public outreach and education is going to be a key piece, and then continued service planning and board discussion. We're going to continue talking about what's the strategy, where are we going, how do we make it better, and what have you. This is a starting point and an introduction with branded material that we can be excited about that mirrors what's going on in this region. So, you know, if I put my BCU hat on, I sit up at night going, yeah, the Ford thing is great and what have you. There's sub-suppliers that need to come in here with the Ford expansion, and then there's other things that are happening too. You know, we have great things happening in downtown Battle Creek and across the region, and I should be able to work in Fort Custer and live in Albion and have adequate transportation. It's just that simple. So November 5th is the election piece. The millage request went in today, and so it'll actively be on the ballot, and we can go to the next. Communication-wise, we now have a website called ridecalhoun.org, and it's taken some time for us to put all those right pieces in place. I would say by September 1st, we will have everything migrated into that website, and that'll be a good information resource. But in the meantime, our TAC board meetings are second and fourth Tuesdays at 9 a.m. at the Marshall City Hall and on second floor in Chambers. So part of my goal is future meetings may be in different municipal areas or what have you, But just to keep it simple, while we're getting our legs underneath us, we've been meeting there in that central location. It's been good for board members and the general public as well. So that rounds out my introduction of Ride Calhoun and a little bit of what the Transportation Authority has been doing up to this point. And, but I'll tell you, as an entrepreneur, this endeavor, and I appreciate you having faith in me in doing this, is a lot like spinning up a brand new company. Putting in bylaws, making sure you have a good team behind you, making sure that the public understands the product that you make, making sure you have a quality product at the end of the day, and making sure you have a strategy that meets the needs of the community, the needs of the product, and the needs of the worker that sit in the product. We want this to be a quality product for a quality community and a sustainable future. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Eric, thank you very much. We appreciate your service and your exuberance and how you approach the entire Ride Calhoun County organization. I'm going to start on this side because I know there's some questions. Commissioner Ballard, if you have anything. If not, we'll move on to the next person and go from there.
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Morris?
Not a question, but a comment maybe.
That's fine.
I just wanted to thank the board for all of their work. I really enjoy working with you all to try and figure out how to make transportation better for Calhoun County. This has been a really interesting experience, like creating the bylaws and that sort of thing. I haven't necessarily been involved in that process before this, so it kind of shows how to build something from the ground up and all of the work that goes into creating an organization like this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Patrick O'Donnell?
Thank you, Eric, for the presentation this evening. I've been studying a lot of transportation stuff over the last almost 2 years since I got on the board. This is very important to me and to the citizens of the area. And I love the idea of the micro-transit. There's so many communities that even have like just vehicles, the cars, because you know, to drive a bus, you got to have a CDL license. To drive a smaller vehicle, you just need a chauffeur's license, and people want to get around. And there's not just what you were saying earlier. There's people that want to get to see their grandchildren, make it to birthday parties. They want to go over and play board games on the other side of town, babysitters, so other people can go to work and stuff. The expansion of this is so great that I applaud you on all the hard work that you're doing and keep continuing. Same with the college educated. And I just like that we're going to go into mobile apps and bring us into the 21st century. It's not the giant bus anymore that we need to fill. It's filling the individual needs to get where they need to go. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Commissioner, and I'll just add to this because you brought up a very good point. Personal experience of mine is that while I was out bike riding, I saw a person much older than me carrying 6 bags of groceries up 20th Street over the bridge. Where are you coming from? Where are you going? And no senior should be going through that without proper transit, regardless of the situation.
Definitely.
So those things are the passion points, and we have many stories that we hear. And as we visit, I've visited both Battle Creek City Transit locations and sat and talked with staff, and you hear even more stories from behind the wheel. We take those things into account, and what you're talking about is that social justice, humanity piece that we plan on attacking.
Or even making it to new level sports. And I remember being a child, my mom would give me 50 cents. That was enough to ride the bus home and back, get down to the Y Center, swim, and enjoy the city that we live in. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Reynolds?
I just want to say thank you, Eric, for your drive, your tenacity with what we need is our transit here in Calhoun County. Thank you, board. Thank you for the support. And I approve, and I am just so elated to hear about this. This is something that we need here in the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Simmons?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Stewart. I will note that this is the second time you've been here, and it's much appreciated, you coming and sharing this information with us. We were unfortunately put in the situation of putting the cart before the horse, of opting into this before we knew what we were going to get out of it. And I think, given this presentation that you gave tonight, would have been helpful for some of the entities that opted out without knowing how this would be structured. Now, when this was
Commissioner,
yes, please,
I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that the timing is right. So, you know, you had this transit study, and folks were reacting to a transit study. What this board has done is put a strategy together, along with numbers and what have you, that meets the need that we consider from the transit study and what we learned. So it would have been hard to go into the future and have a time machine and come back to pre-vote. And because if I had that, I wouldn't be standing here and I'd be in a different business.
I understand, and I appreciate, since you have been, you've constituted the board and you represent the board, that you've been here twice now and sharing this information. When this was first brought to us, we saw some slideshows and some other things that had been discussed about a millage rate. There was like a good, better, best option, slightly less than a mill, around a mill, maybe a little bit over a mill. And I'm just kind of wondering if you could elaborate how, as far as a level of service you arrived, where you did, and then if you could speak to the concern about, in the political climate, introducing something like this at this time. With additional 2.66 mils. I was actually taken a little bit aback by that amount.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've heard mill rates all over the board regarding transportation. Anything as high as 7 down to what, 0.83, I think, was in the transportation study or something along those lines. That vacillation comes down to participation. That study was based on all of the participation across the county, including townships, other entities, and things of that nature, and capturing everything, okay? So we went back and looked at the reality of the strategy of what we had, and that's what we showed you tonight, okay, as a good starting point, and said this is a great conservative view to get enhancements into the system that solves that problem of equal access to transportation for all. Keep in mind, that's the starting point, and I'm not deviating from that. So whatever that cost is right now in that not to exceed amount, I'm looking for efficiencies to build into that, because that doesn't consider other entities like a Myers that may be outside the purview of what have you, or a Firekeepers, or. There's a ton. And so as we implement this strategy, we have work to do, and we plan on doing that work and coming back. And I'll come back as many times as you want to communicate our progress and what have you, because I think our citizens of the region in Battle Creek and the county, we owe it to them.
Commissioner Simmons, thank you very much. Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Eric. I want to mention a few things. We've been discussing stuff via email before, and you've been just outstanding in your communication, very open. I really appreciate that. I can't say that enough, so thank you very much. I think Vivian as well, too, so thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate it. That being said, backslaps aren't going to get anybody to the pharmacy. So I have 3 questions that are really concerning.
But they're encouraging, though.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll take it.
Everybody needs encouragement, Commissioner.
You're doing a great job.
Okay,
as far as communication with me, outstanding. Great. Thank you. 3 questions which I'd like to handle. It's a lot to do in one, so we'll just do them one by one if we can. First, we've mentioned the transit study several times. You know, all of this is predicated on the transit study done in 2020. Which, as you said, included all the townships opting in and included, I think, a 0.39 mil. I was on the county commission at the time that went through, and it was 0.39 mils. So everything we're doing forward now is predicated on that 2020 study, which included a 0.39 mil in the entire Calhoun County, every township, village, city in it participating. We are now at a point where it's just 4 cities, and I feel like the inertia and the momentum of this thing has gotten to the point where we are, again, predicated on this study that was apples, and now we're here with oranges. So can you kind of speak to that, the difference between what was in the study and what's proposed now, and how you're able to reconcile the 0.39 mils for providing service throughout the entire county and everything that was included in that study, the wants and needs of the people in the region, with what we have now, which is just a connector between 4 municipalities at a much higher millage rate?
Yeah, what I'll do is, let me summarize very simply. What I won't do is, I'm not in a position to be an evaluator of the study and a regurgitator of the study itself. But what I will say about the study is parts of that study and the nuances of the study and the reality of that time, I think it was, what, 2020, 2022 or something like that when the study happened during that time period, were considered in terms of our strategy. I said that as part of my presentation. So in that consideration, we build a new strategy for the future. And so while, you know, the mill rate could be wildly different than in that study than it is right now, it didn't apply because, to your point, the reality was apples and oranges. So as I look at what I'm called to do in my mission, I'm going to focus on creating a new strategy that's palatable and meets that goal. And that's what we have right now.
And I love the motto, the goal, the mission statement
yeah.
is outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of getting into the nuance of the detail of the study and things of that nature, that might be a great workshop for us to dive into that, but it doesn't get me to where I need to get to tomorrow.
Well, exactly, and that kind of dovetails into my second point too, because what we're adopting here, in the event that this millage is adopted and the TAC, BC Transit Services are, forked over to the TAC, is we are now putting the voters an arm length away from their remedy as far as speaking to their elected officials regarding transit. People come in here every week and tell us how terrible transit is, and we all have to listen to it. That goes away. They won't have that opportunity anymore to speak to an elected official. How do you plan on maintaining Battle Creek Transit as a priority for the transit riders, the folks who don't want to get to Marshall? They don't need to get to Blue Oval. They don't need to get to Albion. They just need to get to the pharmacy down the street. Local transit riders, how do we maintain service levels for them here, knowing that now the TAC is in charge, and it's, just for lack of a better term, it is an unelected body that's kind of ambiguous to folks.
Well, I'm not going to make that ambiguous leap, okay? We are responsible. And I think me standing here in the presence of the board shows that we're responsible and accountable for the outcome. I don't agree with you that what we're doing is at arm's length. This mobility system is in the public's hands. We hold public meetings. We listen to public comments. We invite the public to understand what our workshops are and our strategy and things of that nature. And you'll see that expansion happen. I'm out in the community listening to these stories, just like they don't have to come here. I'm going to you. And I'm listening to the workers and what have you. So at the end of the day, that whole strategy has to be homogenized with the entire community. And short of Battle Creek moving out of the county, you're going to get benefit. As a matter of fact, you have that direct benefit that we've analyzed on one of the charts that says now and in the future. And we were very specific about what activity you have now and what you'll have in the future. And what I'm aiming towards, Commissioner, and all commissioners, is it shouldn't have to take you 5.5 hours to go get a bag of groceries. Right. Point blank. That enhancement alone should be enough for us to get behind this and say, give me more. And I'm looking at analyzing what that more is in this strategy. So, great point.
No, and I love it, and I wish I had, a bunch of Eric Stewarts to plug into these things.
You just need one, sorry.
But I'll take it. But, and the nuts and bolts level, you won't always be there. The good folks who showed up tonight won't always be there. So I'm looking for systems and processes that we can put in place to assure our transit riders here locally in Battle Creek. I love everybody in this county. I care the most about the people of the city of Battle Creek. I want to make sure they have their needs met first. And the fact remains that, they won't be electing you or your board, if they show up and, in the middle of a day at a Marshall City Hall, if they can get there, and they speak to you and they have problems, like anybody else, you can hear them, but they're never going to be able to hold the TAC accountable the way they can the city commission, because they got to check a box for all of us. So I just want to put it in I don't expect an answer now, but have that on your mind, having routes available, for folks when they have grievances that they know they can be heard, especially when it comes to local stuff. Because, you're talking big picture, and I love it, but, I want folks on the ground, as you said, not to have a 5-hour grocery trip, so.
All right, let's go on,
Last
Vice
one.
Mayor.
Last one, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor, we'll go to the Vice Mayor.
Yep.
You've asked 3 questions.
I've asked 2 questions. I said I was going to ask 3. The last one, and the issue we're facing here in Battle Creek Transit is staff. We can't get transit, we can't get transit employees. We can't get mechanics. We can't get drivers. How does the TAC improve that outside of not making it our problem anymore?
Yeah, so let me go back to you. Man, I want to be respectful of time, Mayor, okay? Right. The easy answer for question 2, if there was 2 or 3, I don't know, for question 2 is equality. That's in my mission, okay? And when we talk about equality, the system across the county should have that level of equality no matter where you get on the ride. So Battle Creek is a part of that. So when I talk about enhancement, Battle Creek will be considered, but I'm considering each of the issues in each of those municipalities on an equal playing field in enhancement. Repeat your question.
Drivers.
Yeah, drivers. Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, that's an easy one.
And mechanics.
I don't know how many of you have gone and actually talked to the staff in which you govern at Battle Creek City Transit, but I have. And listening to their experiences, what they want to see in improvements, having a substantive discussion about this strategy and others is the starting point to enhancing the environment in which they exist, in which they work. And that's going to be an enhancement for the folks that are using that product. But at the end of the day, if I can improve that, we, as the TAC, can improve that work-life balance, folks will want to come and work for us. And sometimes it's about greater pay, sometimes it's about hours or operation, sometimes it's about efficiency. We're analyzing all of that as part of the product. So moving into that, I have a lot of experience in managing over 150 people for the past 25 years. I identify with what I see behind their eyes. And what I see behind their eyes is they want a better livelihood, they're passionate about what they do, and they care about their riders, and they want to stay working for Battle Creek. Not just for Battle Creek, but for Ride Calhoun. They want to see that transition and have a better work-life balance. So,
Thank you for your time. I appreciate all your efforts.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Eric. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Eric, thank you. Thank you to your board for being here. I'm really glad to hear that there may be opportunities for units that opted out of the TAC to maybe opt back in. As Commissioner Simmons pointed out, the unknown and the kind of the nebulousness of the ideas when they were first talked about. Now we've got something on paper, something that's a little easier to identify with. So I'm hopeful that some of these units may choose to opt in down the road. And I'm also glad that you're talking about companies and how they can be brought online, like the Myers that is out on B Drive, Firekeepers, because that unit opted not to participate. So how do we make sure that people can get there? And then people who live in that unit getting to like our hospital or a doctor that they need to see that is in our community. Those opportunities aren't, that door isn't closed. So I appreciate that you all are thinking about that. So November 5th, people go to the polls and they vote, and you get up on November 6th, and lo and behold, there's up to 2.66 mills that have been approved. I'm assuming November 7th, we're not going to have a plan in place, and the buses won't be on the road. So Reader's Digest version, if that doesn't date me. Reader's Digest, what do we expect going forward? A year, 2 years, 6 months?
Yeah, so and I've heard varied pieces, and it's hard for me to commit to your number because of supply chain issues and things of that nature.
Understand.
But I call them my transportation nerds, and I've become one too. The director and what have you have assured me that there's things we can do in the short term, and I want to be able to roll that out the closer we get in terms of what that looks like. So that'll be part of our education piece.
Okay.
But I want to say we'll have a sustainable system within a shorter period of time than you think, and kind of go from there and make sure we communicate. This is the impact. It's not setting up a lemonade stand, and all of a sudden I'm just mixing some sugar and lemons and we're ready for sale. You're right. On the 7th, we're going to say, okay, by this date here, this quarter, these are our achievements, and it's all continuous improvement type thing until we meet a goal, and we'll always be, as the authority board, in the process of continuous improvement. So more to come.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Eric, thank you very much. We appreciate your staff being here too. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Jim Hotzma, I see you in the audience. I know that you like to canvass at this time of night. Would you like to speak just for a couple minutes, and then we can let you out of here?
Thanks for the opportunity. Mallory Avis saw me at the Cruise the Creek event and asked me to come, and I'm glad I came to listen to all the discussion so far.
Thank you for your brief comments. We appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Next item on the agenda is Chair noting any added or deleted resolutions.
There were none.
Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is petitions, communications, and reports.
There were none.
Thank you. Next item on our business is public comments regarding consent agenda and resolutions not on the consent agenda. If you'd like to make public comment regarding the consent agenda and resolutions not on the consent agenda, please raise your hand, and we will acknowledge you to come forward to the podium. You will have 3 minutes to make your comments. Please state your name and address before beginning your comments, and indicate which resolutions you are speaking to. Do we have anyone on this side of the room? Do we have anyone on this side of the room? I do not see anyone. We'll go to this side of the room. Is there anyone on the left side? We have one hand in the back. I do not see a face. The one hand that's up in the back.
Gentleman from Marshall, Barry Wayne Adams, 622 West Green Street. I will be speaking to Resolution 512 and 526. Okay, 512. The use of these NPCs, trying to create planning commissions that actually trickle down into the various neighborhoods. At what level of control does the state need to extend itself? When I went to school, back in the social studies class, this is back during the Cold War and the Red Scare, we were told about the evils of socialism, and the fundamental characteristic of a socialistic model is economic planning and community planning by instrumentalities of the state. Now, it's my understanding that, and reading various case law and the Constitution, the sole purpose of government is to aid the individual in his or her exercise of life, liberty, or property, and everything else is usurpation and encroachment. What seems to be happening is, with the creation of these NPCs and the various other types of appointed boards, you know, these are not elected positions, is that you seem to be modifying the operations of government and organizing it in a manner that replicates the Soviet model. And actual democratic participation is actually removed by having onion levels of appointed boards who are only in, and these lower boards are only in their position because of the imprimatur of the initial cabal of elected officials. So it seems that, this seems to be a device to compartmentalize the operations of government so it follows a particular agenda, the corporate agenda, rather than actually addressing the needs of the people as required by Article 1, Section 1 of the Constitution and Article 1, Section 3 of the Michigan Constitution.
Thank you for your comments.
I'll be back.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir. Is there anyone else on this side that wants to speak? Okay, we're going to have you move up front, and you'll speak as soon as he's done.
Just want to speak to Resolution 513, has to do with the engineering for the naturalization project on the river. Anyone who's lived in Battle Creek for as long as me, which has been about 49 years, I won't tell you any more my age, we know why those cement rivers were put in. We all know the reasoning as to why they were there. They were to help to prevent the floods that Battle Creek has had a history for. And all one needs to do is a Google search on the history of the flooding in Battle Creek, which was a severe problem until the cement rivers were put in place. You can see the pictures of the floods downtown Battle Creek that occurred back then. I'm concerned, from what I've read within 513, is that there's no kind of flood study. I mean, is there any kind of study that they've done in regard to potential flooding and what this project is going to cause? We don't want to repeat the history of what happened to the bottoms. For those of you that know what the bottoms were, that area was flooded pretty heavily a number of times. A lot of minority families were displaced because of that. We don't want to repeat that history. And if I was a business or if I was a home along the river, I would want some kind of assurance that we weren't going to repeat history with the flooding that we've had. I know that I've been here for a long time, that those rivers are not, those cement rivers aren't the best looking, but they've done their job. And I want to make sure that whatever this engineering firm, if they come in, I would encourage that they do some kind of a flood study, just to, you know, see if what's going to be done is going to create any kind of flooding in the future. We don't want to repeat a history. That's just all I'm going to say about that. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Autumn Smith, please.
Good evening. I'm going to comment on the one about the 512. Echoing what Mr. Adams said, most people don't know that NPCs were formed. I don't know the exact year, but it was so you guys could continue to get HUD dollars. That's the only reason they meet. If we didn't have NPCs, we wouldn't get HUD dollars. I've been to NPCs. I've been to quite a few. They can be interesting and stuff like that. They're kind of a mini redundancy of commission meetings and stuff, but there's many NPCs that don't meet. So if that is how we get our HUD dollars, I am wondering how we are still eligible for those, since there are many NPCs that do not meet currently, and if we are fulfilling whatever obligations that need to be fulfilled to continue receiving HUD dollars. I do question that. I also am concerned about, like what Mr. Harris talked about, with the floodplain and stuff like that. The Army Corps engineers, people put that in. I think they would be the ones that we need to go to and speak to about removing those. I also know the history. The neighborhoods back then were called the Bottoms. It was where very poor, low-income people lived, and I find it mildly ironic that we do appear to be possibly repeating history, since that is the area where we are looking to put low-income housing. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else? John Kennefic, and then there's a gentleman, Chuck Asher, right after them.
John Kennefic, 234 South Avenue. This is in regards to Resolution 513. It says, a resolution seeking acceptance of qualification-based proposal from an OHM Advisors for Engineering Services for the Battle Creek River Naturalization Project. There is backup information, and in that information, what is missing is the Army Corps of Engineers study that was been going on for a number of years now. So the study was not there, so you don't know what they're talking about. You have no information. You're going in somewhat blind and jumping ahead. You're putting the cart before the horse. So I called up the Assistant City Manager, Ted Deering, and Army Corps of Engineers in Detroit, a number of people. And the contact point between the government of Battle Creek and the Army Corps of Engineers is Gregory Mansoff of the Army Corps of Engineers. I've emailed him a number of times, and I've also phoned him a number of times with no response. He's the one that's one of the forefront runners that's supposed to show us the study. Before you even begin this, that study should be right here for you and everyone else to see. It's missing. Furthermore, it doesn't show other things that are going on here. For example, what you do not tell people is that the bridges, which are 6 bridges along the waterway of the flood control zone, all have to be either removed or redone. 2 of them in a previous commission meeting were going to be removed. That would be McCanley Street Bridge and Fountain Street Bridge. So that puts a choke point on the Capitol Bridge, Capitol Avenue Bridge. That Capitol Avenue, when they widen the river, that bridge becomes, you can't use it anymore, it's too short. So you have to have a longer bridge, wider. So there's more money that's going to be coming in from your tax dollars from Michigan Department of Transportation. Then you have the Washington Street Bridge, and if you widen it like you claim they're going to do, you're going to have to reinforce the southern end of that bridge because the erosion of the water when widening will undermine that and make the bridge on the southern end minimum collapse. That leaves the railroad bridge, or two bridges left. The railroad bridge, it's not going to cost the railroad a dime to have the government pay for that railroad bridge across there. Why? Because you're forcing the issue. If there's nothing wrong with that bridge, now the taxpayers have got to pay for that. The final bridge is Hamlin. Can't say a lot about that. But I will tell you also that you're sliding around this because according to this resolution, you want to spend less than $50,000 per time from different sources so that it doesn't have to be a resolution that comes up in front of the City Commission. This is a 10 to 15-year project. So can anybody actually stand up here right now and tell us that that area of the flood zone is inadequate? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Chuck? We'll go David Moore after Chuck.
Evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Chuck Asher, 961 Glencroft. Rebecca, thank you for your service. I don't know if you're retiring or moving on, but retiring is not so bad. And if you're moving on, good luck. So, speaking in support of 527 and 529. 527, the authorization to enter into a collaborative agreement with Community Action in the CHIP-led abatement program. I was part of the startup of that collaboration, I think it was 2017. And since that date, they've probably abated nearly 500 homes where children were being poisoned and exhibited elevated blood levels, which, as you know, is a real block to their development. So I support that. And then 529, speaking on behalf of the Senior Millage Allocation Committee, Tom Tarkowitz is also a committee member. We fund quite a few services for seniors in Calhoun County. One of them is minor home repair. And because everything that happens in senior services is designed to keep people independent and in their homes, and we all want to remain in our homes as long as we can, they incur a lot of expenses to repair their homes and keep them safe. So senior millage funding, minor home repair, we can't keep up with the demand. There's a wait list. By the Community Development Department taking a portion of this funding and identifying it to be a collaborative agreement with Community Action to address the needs of seniors in Battle Creek, it's really going to take a big load off that demand. So I encourage you to approve that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. David?
Not much up on anything this minute. I'd like to talk on this river widening and whatever. We used to have real serious floods in Battle Creek. I remember I've seen pictures of real deep water and real bad floods we used to have before we rebuilt this river and made it safer. I think the safety of the river should be the most important issue there is, but these recreation things like these boat cruises and this recreation down there, everybody's for that, who ain't, but I think safety should come first. We got floods, and it makes a flood can come in real quick. Water can go up real fast. Matter of a few days, even a rainstorm, your level of your water could really go up. And I think the safety of the river, it should be one of the top priorities of making that river safe for a lot of homes around that river. Their safety should be coming first.
Thank you, David. Are there any other public comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, commission comment regarding meeting business.
move to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
So moved and supported to approve the consent agenda. Is there any comments or questions that a commissioner may have on the consent agenda? Seeing none, would you please vote on the consent agenda? The consent agenda has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 515. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Lila Arboretum Society, LAS, has a 30-year lease agreement with the city for use management of Lila Arboretum, land owned by the city of Battle Creek. 10 years ago, the city assumed the downtown development responsibilities, which includes the seasonal planting program as well as the winter display program for downtown Battle Creek, including ongoing care of downtown plantings, inspections, trash removal, hand weeding, fertilization, deadheading, and hand watering of non-irrigated containers. The city has included these activities in the proposed agreement with LAS. This resolution authorizes the city manager to execute an agreement between the City of Battle Creek and the Lila Arboretum Society for the provision of educational programming, park stewardship, urban forestry consultation to the city and its citizens, as well as installation and maintenance of the seasonal planting plan and winter display for downtown Battle Creek for fiscal year 2024-2025.
I move to approve Resolution 515.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 515. Are there any comments by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on 515? Resolution 515 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 516. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Section 802.24 of the codified ordinances of the City of Battle Creek provides that the city commission shall, from time to time, by resolution, enact a schedule of fees required to be paid, bonds required to be posted, and insurance required to be carried. The fee, bond, and/or insurance schedule is required to obtain a license to engage in the operation, conduct, and carrying on of any trade, profession, business, or privilege for which a license or permit is required by the codified ordinances. This resolution seeks approval of the amendments to the 2024-2025 fee, bond, and insurance schedule for the City of Battle Creek.
I move to approve Resolution 516.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 516. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns by any of the commissioners at this time? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 516? Resolution 516 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 517.
On May 17, 2016, the City Commission approved the first agreement between the city and Bronson Battle Creek for Bronson to compensate the city for providing the equivalent of 1 FTE police officer for set hours over 4 days during each week. There have been 3 additional contracts approved, increasing or decreasing the number of officers and work hours based on staffing levels at BCPD and hospital need. Currently, a 1-year agreement exists, approved on May 17, 2022, where Bronson would compensate the city for the salary and benefits, along with the administrative fee of 10%, to provide 2 officers 5 days per week, each working an 8-hour shift, or for shift assignments as otherwise may be agreed to between the parties, resulting in the equivalent of 2 FTE police officers. The parties have worked under the terms of this 1-year agreement, but without reducing it to writing. The parties have now agreed to compensation terms consisting of an hourly rate, increasing each year, which encompasses the cost of benefits as well as administrative cost. This was deemed to be the best approach, since available staffing will determine how many officers can be assigned duties at Bronson Battle Creek. This resolution seeks authorization for the city manager to enter into a 3-year agreement between the City of Battle Creek and Bronson Battle Creek, where the city will provide Bronson Battle Creek up to 4 FTE, full-time equivalent, of public safety officers at the Bronson main campus.
I move to approve Resolution 517.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 517. Are there any comments or questions or concerns by the commission? Would you please vote on Resolution 517? Resolution 517 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 518. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
The City of Battle Creek operates 4 centrifuges for wastewater treatment, with centrifuge number 2 being the final unit requiring inspection and repair. Centrifuges are essential for wastewater treatment. By effectively removing solids, centrifuges enhance overall water quality, improve plant efficiency, and protect the environment. Accurately diagnosing and repairing a centrifuge necessitates complete disassembly, making competitive bidding challenging. Due to the highly specialized nature of this work, qualified contractors are limited. The wastewater treatment plant recommends CentraMax Centrifuges, NE Limited, for this project due to their expertise in both backdrive and centrifuge repairs. Consolidating these services under a single contractor streamlines the repair process, minimizes coordination complexities, and ensures efficient project completion. This resolution seeks authorization to issue a purchase order for centrifuge number 2 repair from CentraMax Centrifuges, NE Limited, in a not-to-exceed amount of $109,521.93.
I move to approve Resolution 518.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 518. Are there any questions, concerns, or comments by the commission? Seeing none, please vote on Resolution 518. Thank you. Resolution 518 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 519, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 3, dated November 15, 2016, authorized a cooperative purchasing contract with HGAC Buy for the purpose of buying vehicles. There is no cost to be a part of this cooperative, which competitively bids large specialized vehicle purchases on behalf of other government agencies. HGAC Buy contracts have been established through a public competitive sealed bidding process and used by municipalities to purchase large dollar assets that are complicated and have detailed specification. The Department of Public Works is in need of a new camera van and requests to purchase using the HGAC Buy contact. This resolution seeks authorization to issue a purchase order in a not-to-exceed amount of $361,412 to Frederickson Supply, LLC for the purchase of a new camera van.
I move to approve Resolution 519.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 519. Are there any comments by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 519? Resolution 519 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 520. Madam Clerk.
A solicitation was issued May 28, 2024 for the Claude Evans Park Improvement Project. The solicitation consisted of a base bid for the Claude Evans Park improvements and an additional bid package for a food truck parking area adjacent to Claude Evans Park. The food truck parking area would be considered after the evaluation of the Claude Evans Park improvements bid. The Claude Evans Park Improvements Project consists of the site clearing, excavation of a retention pond, storm sewer installation work, parking lot site preparation and paving, and miscellaneous concrete flat work. On-site camera systems and an on-site electrical are also included in this bid. This resolution seeks acceptance of the lowest responsible bid for Claude Evans Park Improvements Project from Hunter Pearl Company in an estimated amount of $2,008,925.50 with unit prices prevailing.
I move to approve Resolution 520.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 520. Are there any comments by any of the commission on 520? Commissioner Morris.
Won't be long. I just wanted to thank everyone for the work that has gone into this project. This is probably one of the first things that I wanted to do when I got on the commission, so I'm really glad to see the point where it's at now, and I hope that everyone is supportive of this project.
Any other comments? Thank you very much, Commissioner, for your comments about the Claude Evans Park. I just want to thank everyone that came together to really talk about safety, talk about how we can improve the park when it comes to parking. And I think it's really becoming the destination for those type of activities that take place in a neighborhood that I think we're putting a lot of investment in, and I really appreciate it. So thank you. Any other comments on 520? Hearing none, would you please vote on Resolution 520? Resolution 520 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 521. Madam Clerk.
In early April of this year, the Sewer Collection Division of DPW was alerted of a small sinkhole in the southbound lane of Union Street, just south of Ivanhoe. Televising of nearby sewers found that the 8-inch sanitary sewer main had a collapsed 2-foot section of clay pipe at about 12 feet south of the sanitary manhole in the intersection of Union and Ivanhoe. This section of collapsed pipe was at a depth of nearly 20 feet, with groundwater starting at 8 feet below the road surface. Attempts to clear the line for an internal patch were unsuccessful. Concerns for getting repair equipment wedged in the collapsed section of pipe and possibly causing additional damage to the main and our repair equipment made it clear that the main would need to be repaired through excavation. Upon excavating to the existing sanitary sewer, it was discovered that the pipe was too brittle and compromised to make a satisfactory repair, and that the entire 160 feet of clay sewer from the manhole at Ivanhoe to the upstream manhole needed to be replaced. With dewatering and traffic control in place and the road already opened up, it was decided to remove an additional 100 feet of pavement to replace the entire run with PVC sewer. The depth of the sewer at the upstream manhole was at 8 feet versus 20 feet at Ivanhoe. This gave us the opportunity to run the sewer at a shallower grade to avoid additional removal and replacement of concrete curb, sidewalk, and turf, along with placing the sewer at an optimal grade. The city's administrative code allows exceptions for purchases outside of the competitive sealed bidding process in case of emergency repairs or replacements, and when such procedures are deemed unnecessary and burdensome and not in the best interest of the city by the city manager. This is such a case. However, City Commission approval is required on purchases that exceed $50,000. This resolution authorizes the payment of invoice number 26998 for completed emergency sewer repair at Ivanhoe and Union Street from Hoffman Brothers Incorporated in a not-to-exceed amount of $181,420.
I move to approve Resolution 521.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 521. Are there any comments by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 521? Resolution 521 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 522. Madam Clerk.
The solicitation was issued June 20, 2024 for the Sonoma Road North Water Main Project. This project consists of a water main extension consisting of pavement removal, water main, 2 fire hydrants, water services that includes supply of the MDOT rest area, aggregate base, and hot mix asphalt. This resolution seeks acceptance of the lowest responsive responsible bid for 2024 Sonoma Road North Water Main Project from Hoffman Brothers Incorporated in an estimated amount of $263,321.65 with unit prices prevailing.
I move to approve Resolution 522.
Support.
It's moved and supported to approve Resolution 522. Are there any comments, questions or concerns by the commission at this time? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 522? Resolution 522 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 523. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
A solicitation was issued June 26, 2024 for the Columbia Avenue Infrastructure Project. This project consists of replacing six-inch water main on Foster Drive between Columbia and Survey Avenue with 8-inch water main and replacing 8-inch water main on Lakeview Avenue from Foster Drive to La Vista Boulevard with 8-inch water main. Stormwater improvements will also be made around the identified sections in the plans in an effort to eliminate direct outfall to untreated stormwater into Gogwek Lake. This resolution seeks acceptance of the lowest responsible bid for Columbia Avenue Infrastructure Project with Hoffman Brothers Incorporated in an estimated amount of $2,693,035.49 with unit prices prevailing.
I move to approve Resolution 523.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve 523. Are there any comments by the commission? Please vote on Resolution 523. Resolution 523 has been approved. Do we need a break yet? Don't hear that from anyone. All right. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 524.
The McCamley Hotel, located at 50 Capitol Avenue Southwest, is undergoing a renovation to convert the hotel into a DoubleTree Hotel by Hilton. The DoubleTree needs additional long-term assured parking for the guests of the newly renovated hotel. The hotel is connected to both the Kellogg Arena and the Hamlin parking ramp located at 40 Hamlin Avenue in Battle Creek, which is owned by the city. The parking ramp currently has 5 levels with over 500 parking spaces. It's estimated that the renovated hotel will have a need for at least 250 exclusive dedicated parking spaces and up to 100 more additional parking spaces within the ramp at any given time. This resolution seeks authorization for the city manager to enter into an updated renewed agreement with 50 Capitol Avenue Development Corporation to secure parking spaces in the Hamlin parking ramp located at 40 West Hamlin Avenue.
I move to approve Resolution 524.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 524. Are there any comments by the commission? Commissioner Ballard.
Thank you, Mayor. Rebecca, could you tell us on the 250 spots, which levels they would be on?
That's a good question, and I'm going to defer to Ted on that one because we've gone back and forth, and this is an increase from their original.
Thank you.
And I give you wrong. Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. To some extent, we'll have to manage that as we go. We would anticipate right now probably on the 3rd and 4th levels, but the contract calls for the dedicated space as well as a floating 100, and so that may shift things. But the 250 themselves will be exclusive spots and likely on more of the upper levels of the structure.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commission comments? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 524? Resolution 524 has been approved. We now have 5 to go. Resolution 525, Madam Clerk.
In early 2023, Semco Energy Incorporated identified areas along North Raymond Road that have eroded away over the years, and there existed a need to bury an updated and deeper pipe west of the existing pipeline, which currently sits in the right-of-way, the result of which will increase needed gas pressure for the area and for future development. This resolution seeks authorization for the city manager to grant Semco Energy Incorporated a right-of-way over city-owned property identified as parcel number 52-0158-00-120-0 for the installation, operation, and maintenance of a natural gas pipeline adjacent to Raymond Road.
I move to approve Resolution 525.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 525. Are there any questions by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 525? Resolution 525 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 526. Madam Clerk?
The applicant, Ethan Vanderweel, has filed a special use permit application to use the subject property as a farmer's market. The applicant plans to erect a pavilion on the site as well as construct a crushed asphalt parking area to support the market. The applicant has provided a proposed site plan and the proposed design of the pavilion. Given the current application materials, the applicant will need to apply for both an accessory structure permit and a commercial paving permit, in addition to the subject special use permit and site plan review prior to construction beginning. The property is currently vacant. The property has been owned by the applicant since December of 2020. The current owner and applicant intends to use the property to host annual flower sales put on by the applicant. Should the proposed special use permit application be approved, the proposed use and structures are not outside of what can be expected in an area with mixed low-density, single-family residential and agricultural uses. This resolution seeks to approve petition PSUP 24-0001, a special use permit requested for approval of a farmer's market in the AG Agricultural District located at 13985 South Helmer Road parcel.
I move to approve Resolution 526.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 526. Are there any comments by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 526? Resolution 526 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 527. Madam Clerk.
This resolution renews the agreement with Community Action that governs the relationship between the nonprofit organization and the City of Battle Creek. The City Commission approved the agreement for the state CHIP lead hazard control program on November 7, 2023. This funding agreement runs from October 1, 2023 through September 30, 2024. The Community Development Division markets the program and receives applications from households referred by the Calhoun County Department of Health. Community Action investigates and remediates homes outside of the City of Battle Creek limits within Calhoun County, and the city remediates homes within the city's boundaries. This resolution seeks authorization for the city manager to sign the CHIP Lead Hazard Control Program Partnership Agreement with Community Action.
I move to approve Resolution 527.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 527. Are there any comments by the commission? Commissioner Patrick O'Donnell.
I'd like to just say thank you for renewing this again. The lead poisoning is very important to me because I've had a few people that had that. There's remodeling their house. They really didn't realize the damage they're doing to their children and the guests that were coming in by ingesting some of this toxin. So to get this out there and get it remediated is such a great way to help our health in our community.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments by the commission? Yes. Commissioner Carla Reynolds.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank Chuck Asher for leading the way on this excellent program for the safety of our families here in the county. Thank you.
Any other commission comments? Seeing none, please vote on Resolution 527.
Commissioner Reynolds? Thank you.
Resolution 527 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 528. Madam Clerk.
The proposed agreement with the Fair Housing Center of Southwest Michigan will provide funding to repeat testing of the housing market similar to testing completed in 2015 and 2018, and will result in a written report that will be shared with the City Commission. The agreement also helps satisfy the city's obligation to affirmatively further fair housing, which it agrees to each year to receive entitlement funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The agreement includes 4 presentations on the findings of the testing. The agreement also includes 4 fair housing education sessions presented to the general public and interested parties such as landlords and renters. This resolution seeks authorization for the city manager to sign a CDBG-funded fair housing testing and education agreement with the Fair Housing Center of Southwest Michigan.
I move to approve Resolution 528.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 528. Are there any comments by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 528? Resolution 528 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is the final resolution of tonight's agenda, is Resolution 529.
Community Action has administered housing repair funding for many years with experienced and capable staff. The City of Battle Creek Community Development Division has extensive experience collaborating with Community Action on joint housing rehabilitation programs. The City of Battle Creek will provide the intake and referrals of senior households to Community Action. This resolution seeks authorization for the city manager to enter into an agreement for senior minor home repair program with subrecipient Community Action, funded through the city's Federal Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG program.
I move to approve Resolution 529.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 529. Are there any comments by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 529? Resolution 529 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is general public comment. If you'd like to make general public comment regarding matters over which the City Commission has control, please raise your hand and wait for us to acknowledge you, and then come forward to the podium. You will have 3 minutes to make your comment. Please state your name and address prior to beginning your comment. We'll go on this side of the room first, sir. Are there any general public comments? David Moore, please.
Here's David Moore. I've been spending a lot more time home this last year, and not getting out as much as I used to. I've been watching TV and watching a lot of sports. I watched the baseball draft in Detroit here on TV, and that was a lot more I figured it would be. It was quite an expensive program. And I watched the Olympics. That's a big, expensive program, and I watched some of the other sports here. A lot of money has been put into that. And we got a lot of money in our channel of the night we voted on tonight. A lot of money we passed. And we talk about all these things that we love to have, all these luxuries. And also, we talk about making tax breaks, giving tax breaks to the rich. The taxpayers are being taxed to death on their taxes, and these tax breaks are people not paying it. But a lot of these, we talked a while back here, I've been commenting on this a lot through the years I've been here. I'm against the tax breaks. All these tax breaks we make, we're cutting programs. They're taking away money that our city and our government really has to have. And I like these luxuries and all those things too, but we've got seem to have a lot of money to have a space tour around space, have a big space program, something that Donald Trump wants to have, a space program. And like to have all these big people have go to these big parties, go to Mardi Gras and go to these places and pay a lot of money. They say we're off for everybody. It's for everybody to have. The ones that can afford to go, those that can afford it, And it's just these tax breaks is just taking away money that our government really has to have. And as these taxpayers are getting the butt end of the deal, and these people get a tax break, don't seem to have to worry about it. I've always been against these tax breaks. We got this program here tonight with our transit. We got a lot of transit programs we want to do. That costs money. We got to have money to have it. These are necessities. I've been preaching on that for a number of years down here. We need these programs. They're more important than our luxuries. And we talk about these programs that are real expensive to have, and we turn around like Two-Face and cut them off. So I just guess.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you. Is there anyone else on this side of the room? Seeing none, we'll go to this opposite side of the room. Chuck Asher, and then we'll go to, yes, sir, you're second.
Chuck Asher, 961 Glencroft Lane. Thank you for approving 527 and 529, but I got to set the record straight, Commissioner Reynolds. I did not lead that effort. I was part of the initial team, but it was city community development staff, Chris Lussier, the great Matt Flanders, and his staff, and all the community action staff, and fortunately, everyone that has come on after us is carrying the torch. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Good evening, Reese Atkins, 84 South 23rd Street, Battle Creek, Michigan. That's right, you heard 84 South 23rd Street. I want to say thank you to the commissioners who came forward and got a hold of Neighborhood Inc. and made way for myself and my soon-to-be wife to have a place of our own, and to where we are now safely into that place, and able to live on our own and know that if something, heaven forbid, does happen with her mother, we do now have a roof over our head that we can call secured home. I just don't want this to stop at me. I still advocate for a bunch of felons that are struggling, that sat here and see what the city commission just sat here and did for me, that is looking like, why can't they do it for us also? And I'm encouraging them to get a hold of, Neighborhood Inc. commissioners to open the door for more people to have housing like I do. And Rebecca, I wish you the best of luck. You've been here a while with your retirement. But thank you to the commissioners for opening the door and providing us to get a place to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Reese. Any other comments on this side of the room? Barry Wayne Adams, or also known as the man from Marshall.
Barry Wayne Adams, 622 West Green Street in Marshall. If you kept track of the recent primary, and if you noticed what happened in Marshall Township, 3 new council members are going to be brought in. They'll be running unopposed November 5th, but there are going to be 3 new people. They are displacing the pro-mega site council members that were on the township board. In concert with that, I'm going to let you guys know that the Marshall City Clerk has certified my petition signatures, and I am on the ballot for November 5th for Marshall City Mayor. And I'll let you guys know right now that I will be working heartily with the new guys in Marshall Township to reverse what has happened over with the mega site. And you guys may want to start reconfiguring what your thoughts are on what's going to be happening with that, because we are going to try to get it completely dismantled. Also, on the TAC issue, you know, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You know, let's let honesty prevail here. Bus transportation is the least preferable method of personal transportation that people can choose. If people do have a choice, they want to have their own personal vehicle. You know, the convenience of personal transportation is being able to step outside your house, get in your vehicle, and go where you want to go. Having to go down to a bus stop or, you know, as was suggested, going to work at Fort Custer from Albion is certainly existentially onerous, and I wouldn't want to put that on any person to have to go through that every day. You know, a commute would probably be at least an hour and a half, considering that there would have to be stops. But the whole putting forth of this TAC program is, again, done under suspicious circumstances. The vote in Marshall that was for it was, again, done Soviet style in spite of the numerous comments against it. It was a done deal before it was even brought up by the Marshall City Council. So there's going to be big changes over in Marshall. I'm looking pretty good. I've already got 810.
Thank you for your comments.
810 votes for me.
Are there any other comments? Autumn Smith, please.
Good evening. Speaking of the election, congratulations. I know you guys didn't have primaries, but we may know somebody that did. Those that won the primary, thankful to everybody that came out, all the election workers. It was a long day. Slow at some point because the rain held people off, but people still made it out. So anyways, also speaking about elections, I don't know about you, but I've been getting a lot of polls on my phone, text polls, phone calls wanting me to, you know, share my opinion and so on and so forth. And I think it's very important that we do. And I think it's even more important that we go out and vote. One of the text messages and poll questions that I got had to do with an issue that I brought up, and it has now become a major campaign issue. Jim Hodsma mediated a sexual assault and covered up for John Bird, who was subsequently jailed for that, and he did it at his law office here in Battle Creek. He then went on to allow John Bird to testify in Lansing, as Jim Hodsma is the Labor Chair Committeeman. He wished him a happy birthday, and he did this because it had to do with access to money. Regardless, party affiliation or not, you know, that's wrong. So I sincerely hope that people will think about that when they go to the polls, and think about that when they take these surveys and stuff about these people that you're putting and entrusting in these positions of power. Are they doing it for your best interest? Are they doing it for theirs? And do they really have you in mind and stuff? And that's not the only sexual assault John Bird's been, he's been convicted of that and served jail time, but he hasn't answered for the sexual assault of an acquaintance friend of mine who went public on the Detroit News and stuff. But it's very, very interesting how something like that can become, I was surprised when it popped up on my phone. I had no idea. I had been speaking about it here long before it happened. I'm still hoping that something can be done about it because, you know, wasn't Believe All Women a thing and the Me Too movement something? Does that not mean anything when you're an elected public official and somebody comes to you? How do you mediate a sexual assault? I asked the questions that at the Democrat Party booth and nobody could answer. So it's just really sad. Your public officials should be there representing you, and if somebody comes to you with an issue and stuff like that, you should take care of it appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comments at this time? Yes.
Nadine Bradshaw, 84 South 23rd Street. Finally moved out of my mom's house. I know, a little depressing. Anyways, I'd like to thank the commissioners for that happening. I'd also like to continue to press an issue. There are college students in need of housing still, and there are people who are still capable of owning a house, taking care of a house. They're right around my age, just shy of 30. And then there's people that are college students capable of taking a house. They still have felonies. So there's that too. It's a lot of red tape. It's a lot of headaches. So thank you, and that's the concern I have.
Thank you for your comments. There was one hand in the back. John?
John Kennefic, 234 South Avenue. This is going to be multiple concerns that will relate back to this agenda. On June 23rd, 2023, in June 2023, the City Commission passed the tax bond schedule. You didn't bother to tell everyone that was 167 cost increases just in that resolution. June 2024, just less than 3 months ago, you passed the tax bond schedule. You didn't tell anybody what the costs were. There were 135 cost increases in that resolution. Today, you passed Resolution 516. And in 516, there are 29 cost increases. Never mentioned to anybody in the public. You avoid telling them how many cost increases. But what is really important is about these 29 have to do with the police department. It's increases that they have to do for overtime. So I was looking at Resolution 520, which is so important for the Claude Evans Park, and I had to ask myself a question. Which was more important, a park and doing some improvements, or paying for your police department and having no cost increases? The park is more important than the police department. Don't make any misunderstandings about that. That's what you just said here at this commission meeting. The park is more important than your police department. Now I'm going to relate one other item here. There was an interesting presentation by the Transit Authority of Calhoun County. And I'm going to make a disclaimer to protect myself. I want all systems like a transportation system. The minimum standard is it must be self-sufficient. If it is not self-sufficient, it has no business being on the agenda. This presentation told you that the operating cost coming up if this thing passed was $12 million, and it was going to be maybe $7 million taking the money in with a $5 million shortfall. So basically, it already told you it failed just from the beginning. I would suggest to the transit system and the City Commission, if you look at the transit authorities throughout the Battle Creek area, throughout the Michigan area, you'll find the bulk of them are taking in more money for operating expense and very little money that it's taking in revenue. They're all, in essence, failure, and that money comes from the federal government. So if you're going to have this system in place, and I got to explain one other thing, because I was at Marshall when they passed the transit authority. In the backup material, it said something really interesting. When they get money for the transit authority, they can take out transit bonds, which means they can take loans out on the 4 areas, the 4 cities, and start mortgaging their lives. Is that really an effective transit system? I suggest you think carefully in the future if this thing passes. I suggest you don't vote for it until they have their act together. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments at this time? Seeing none, are there any commission comments? But before I go there, I want to welcome our new city attorney, William Kim. Welcome to Battle Creek. Thank you very much. I'm sure you've been busy the last week.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to be aboard, part of the team.
Thank you very much. Are there any commission comments at this time? Commissioner Carla Reynolds.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. I just want to lift up and send prayers out to the family of Roberta Cribbs.
God bless you. Commissioner Ballard and then Commissioner Patrick O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to remind people that when you have an active park and youth are able to go there, there are a lot of saved police calls that are not necessary when they're all together and they're being active and being positive influences in that park. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Patrick O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I was going to also say welcome to Battle Creek, Mr. Kim. And happy birthday, Chris. Thank you for visiting us on your birthday. You served the community well. And I want to thank all of our, earlier we had someone talking about the, can't mention names straight up, so just like say thank you for thinking about us election workers over the election last Tuesday. Everybody put in a lot of work. Thank you, City Clerk, for what you did for us last Tuesday. I had a great team. We pushed it right through, and hopefully we didn't have any blemishes on your record. So it was nice having a wonderful group of people there, by the way. Commissioner Ballard. So, and then just want to mention Saturday's event there at New Level Sports. I hope many people can attend that. It interests me that flag football is being played there, and I just noticed when we were watching the Olympics that that's going to be the new sport out there in LA coming up in 4 years. So quite possibly we may have some Olympic contention here from Battle Creek. So good luck out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, and happy birthday, Commissioner Simmons.
Thank you. And may I add, I appreciate the birthday gift of the city of repaving Capitol Avenue Southwest. Like, right on my birthday, and not doing it via chip seal, just actual pavement, so thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Seeing none, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you for attending.